Hey there, YouTube. This is me, Dan Wise. I did the video about a year and a half, almost a year and a half ago, going to federal prison. I'm out now, so I thought I'd give you guys a new update. I had some people asking for it. I was sentenced. For those of you that don't know, I'll put the link on here to the first video, so if you want to kind of get caught up with what's going on, the video is labeled Going to Federal Prison. Simple enough. I was sentenced to 42 months federal prison for conspiracy to distribute oxycodone. That's what my charge was for, and that's how much time they sentenced me to. I ended up serving in federal prison. I ended up serving 13 months federal prison, and then I still have 11 months I'm serving now on federal halfway house, which I've served a month, so I have 10 months left. Come May, I'll have the ability to go to home confinement. I'll be on an ankle monitor where I can serve the remaining of my time at home for the last few months. I'm working now. That's why it's taking me so long to get the video updated. I didn't have access to a computer or camera or anything like that. So I'm working for a company based out of South Florida. I'm doing their sales, marketing, advertising, things like that, customer service, customer retention. I'm in Spokane, Washington. My girlfriend, love of my life, Shelly, she was also on my case, and she got sentenced to 13 months. She served 8 months. So she lives in Washington. Well, she lived in West Palm with me, but she relocated to Washington to be closer to her family when she got out. So I followed her up here. I'm glad I did. So far, I like Washington. It's pretty nice, but we'll talk about that later. The reason why I got so much time reduced off my sentence is I did a program called Rdap, Residential Drug Addiction Program. It's a 9-month intense in-treatment program. You're in a special housing unit. Depends where you're at, how many people are going to be in that unit. I was at Coleman Low, which is in Coleman, Florida, right outside of Ocala. Getting into Rdap is not an easy task. There are some things you need to know about getting into Rdap. For those of you that may be going to prison, I know I spoke to Fran from here. He actually saw my video and I spoke to him. I think he's already turned himself in. The end of November of this year, he just turned himself in for, I think he's got a couple of years to do. For those of you that might be going to federal prison or knowing somebody getting ready to go to federal prison and want to know about Rdap, obviously getting a year off is a huge incentive. It takes a lot of time off of your sentence. In order to get into Rdap, there's a couple things you need to know. First off, from the time you got arrested, and this is very important that you make sure you specify this to probation at the time of them doing your PSI. Pre-sentencing guidelines, whatever PSI stands for, it's what they give to the judge that recommends how much time you do, tells about your drug history, tells how many points you have, what they recommend, all that good stuff. Is everything you're going to need to know is going to be in your PSI. But at the time of the interview for the PSI, they're going to ask you if you have any type of drug problem, drug history, and when was the last time you used, and when was your drug history. You need to make sure you clearly let them know that you had some type of either alcohol or drug abuse 12 months prior to the time you got charged. So not from the time you got sentenced or from the time that the incident took place, 12 months prior to that date all the way down, you had to show some kind of alcohol substance abuse in your system. Not in your system, you just have to state it. They don't drug test you or anything like that. You just need to tell them that you have that issue. If you don't, you will not qualify for Rdap. So for those of you that maybe got charged 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and you've been fighting it, or you've been on pre-release, whatever it is, and you tell them just now you started using drugs, it's not going to matter. It's got to be 12 months prior to the date of your charge. Very specific. Also, if you have violence in your history, gun charges, robberies, things like that, that could disqualify you. They are looking to make some changes, so you can look into that, or private message me and I can find out some more information on that for you. Also, sex offenders, violent sex offenders like kidnapping, pedophiles, things like that, I'm pretty sure it's a no-go. There were some people that were in Rdap that were in there for pornography, pictures on their computer, child pornography more specifically. I'm not sure what the age, I don't know if it really matters, I'm not sure, but there were some guys in there that did get the year off. I don't make the rules. If you get in there for looking at little kids' pictures, I hope you don't get RDAP. To be honest, you probably need more time in prison or something else other to help you out. Leave that up to whoever you deal with. You need to be able to be eligible for halfway house. If you're not eligible to go to halfway house for whatever reason, you won't be approved for RDAP, because after you finish RDAP, you're also required to do 4 months of TDAP, which is transitioning back into the community, and you do that while you're in the halfway house. It's a once a week class for an hour. So if you don't qualify for halfway house, you can't successfully complete the RDAP program, so you will not get the program. What else? To qualify for RDAP. That's pretty much the basics to get into RDAP. RDAP is no walk in the park by any means. It's a 9-month. When I say intense, it's intense, man. They dig in, you look at your issues. You can't really fake it through that program because they're on you 24/7. You're programming from 7:30 in the morning to about noon every day, and then there's some additional programming throughout the day. Members in there, the other inmates that are in the program, some of them take it real serious, some of them don't. Some people are there just for the year off, but even if you're there just for the year off, you're going to get something out of the program. It doesn't focus as much on drugs and alcohol as I thought it was. It focuses more on behavioral modification and looking at yourself and the decisions that you've chosen to make. I went in there thinking I'm just going to RDAP my way right through the program and get an easy year off, and there was nothing easy about it. I found a lot of flaws within myself, manipulation and the way I treated people and used people to get what I wanted. Taking responsibility for my actions is something that I really had to look at, and not blaming others and my circumstances and my upbringing for how I turned out. Plenty of people had way worse upbringings than me and don't even know where a police station is. So, with that said, I do take responsibility for what I did. I worked at a pain clinic. Technically, maybe there wasn't any laws actually being broken. The people that were coming there, even if they had valid MRIs, they were coming from different states. So clearly there was something wrong there. They knew they could come there and get the prescriptions they wanted, even if they had an actual MRI. They were definitely drug addicts. I could tell when they were coming through the door that they were either high or looking to get high, or they were going to sell their pills, or they showed up in a car with 20 people. So the writing was on the wall. I chose to look past that and focused on the possible money that I was going to make from it. And I threw my thinking out the window and just went with my poor thinking, and the consequences of those actions led me to go to prison. Can't blame anybody else for your situation. People, place, and things, man. If you're hanging out with people that are doing shady things and you're looking to justify your actions by blaming everybody else, you're going to just constantly fall through the same trap. So take responsibility. But Coleman, I went to Coleman Low. You got lows, or you got camps, you got lows, you got mediums, and you got penitentiaries. I was in a low, which is pretty low security. No politics, could hang out with black people, Spanish people, whoever I wanted to hang out with. It all worked out. Not a lot of fights going on there. I think I saw maybe 3 or 4 fights while I was in there, and they weren't very serious. Never saw a stabbing or anything like that. The only deaths I ever saw were people that died of natural cause, which that's sad, to die in prison for natural causes and you're not at home with your family. But the facility itself, was actually really nice. I lost 65 pounds, got into really good shape, took a lot of classes. There's a football field, there's 2 softball fields, you got basketball courts, volleyball, horseshoes, handball. There's guitar rooms, guitar lessons, piano lessons. You have your foosball, ping pong, great exercise routines. I'm talking some of the stuff I've never even seen before. It's like CrossFit on steroids, basically. We didn't have any weights in that facility, but everything was calisthenics and high repetition. And some of these guys that ran these classes, hopefully when they get out, they continue to do it, because it's some of the most intense training I've ever seen in my entire life. And I took it real serious and got into super good shape, better shape than I've ever been in my entire life. And what else? I just basically, if anybody's getting ready to go to prison, somebody going to prison, and you got some questions, just general questions, or you got specific RDAP questions, there's companies out there that I found online that that will tell you they can promise to get you into RDAP, and you either get in or you don't. There's nobody that can get you into RDAP. You either qualify or you don't. And these guys are going to charge you $3,000 to $5,000, maybe less, to let you know, to tell you they can get you in it. Don't pay that money. Just, message me. You can email me. My email is dwise, that's DWISE 1127 at gmail.com. Private message me through here. I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. And if I don't know the answer, I can definitely get it for you. No charge. Save yourself some money. These attorneys, don't rely on your attorney to know all the answers. My attorney, I'm not going to say he didn't know all the answers, but no, he didn't know all the answers. I'm going to tell you, he did not. He definitely did not know all the answers. And if I would have known a lot of this stuff, be careful of what type of pleas you take. 5K1s, that's basically where you're testifying against other people if you've got a 5K1 on your case. And I'm not telling you don't do a 5K1, but in prison, that's looked real badly on. And if you're going to a camp, a low, even some mediums, it's not that big of a deal. But if you're going to be going to a pen and you got a 5K1 on there, you are not really going to be able to hang out with anybody. They're going to not let you out on the yard. You're going to have to check in to basically the SHU, Special Housing Unit, which is like solitary confinement for your protection, because they don't take lightly. They look at that as you're snitching. And everybody has their own situation. You got to look out for you, do your least amount of time, but you got to do your time safe at the same time. And you want to be able to get out and, deal with people again. So if you got a 5K1 on your case, be real careful. If you don't know what that means, look it up. In prison, it's considered a snitch card, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't really have any preference on it either way, but I'm just telling you that's how prison politics work. Mediums and pens, you're going to look at some issues if you have a 5K1, especially if if it's a serious 5K1. Food was really good in the federal prison. I mean, sometimes I was surprised how good it was. It was food that you would even consider eating on the street. Most of the times it was commissary. You can order a lot of good food. The prison recipes that these people come up with, it's insane. I've had some of the best food I've ever had in prison, some of the best desserts I've ever had in prison. It's a shame that people are locked up for so long, so much time is given out. I'm not going to say people don't deserve to go to prison. There's plenty of people that deserve it. They do give out more time than they might need to, and it's just a big waste of money in a lot of ways, because you're not really being, I'm not going to lie, my punishment was taken away from my family, taken away from my kids. Two of my animals passed away while I was in there. Obviously that's horrible, but at the same time, you really can focus on yourself while you're in there. And if you take it serious and you take what has to offer, classes, exercise, spirituality, getting your mind right, you can come out a much better person, or you can fall into the trap of the convict and do everything shady in there and break every social rule there is to break and get right back out, and you're probably not going to stay out. That's why the recidivism rate is so high, is people just don't want to do the right thing. Everybody wants money. There's nothing wrong with that, but at what expense? What are you willing to do to get it? That's the question. So I don't know what else to say right now. I'm glad to be home. I'm in halfway house. This is the little cheesy phone. I'm not allowed to have a smartphone yet, so I've got this old school little phone here where it takes a million days to send a text message, because you got to press the button every time for a letter. But I look forward to hearing from you guys. If you have any comments, questions, I'm out of federal prison, and I'll be gladly to help you out. So let me know what I can do to help. Thanks, guys. Take care.